You are now tuning into the True North Bet Podcast with your host, Brandon Graham.
You're now tuned in to a new episode of the TRUENORTH.BET Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Graham, and I'm here with a very, very special guest. Here right now, we have Brendan O'Leary-Orange, who is a wide receiver for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, a Nevada Wolfpack alumni, Michael Power, Canada Prep. The list goes on. Hey, very, very pleased to have you here, man. Thank you for being on the show today, man.
Man, thank you guys for having me, man. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to get into it right here, but this is one of the first podcasts we've had, other than the first 10 podcasts initially, but just going through your football journey as a CFL player, as this is one of our first videos with interviews with a CFL player on this platform. I've done many of them in the past, but what I do, of course, here is just go through your football journey and what football has meant to you, the people you've impacted, so on and so forth. Myself as a journalism major, used to work for Sportsnet, so a lot of things I've done in the past, but with this interview, I just wanted to highlight a lot from your journey, right? So just to get into it initially, just wanted to ask you the game of football, just in general. I know, of course, Dole Orange, played at Southern Mississippi, has done quite a bit, got drafted by the Atlanta Falcons, so on and so forth. But before that, when were you first introduced to the game of football, man?
Oh, man. I was little, and I'd say my mom would always be like, go watch the game with your dad. And I would probably say I didn't really understand what that meant until I kind of got a little bit older. And then I would go to training camps with my dad. He'd take me out there, and it would be, he had these conversations with Pinball and all those guys. And that would be it would be super cool, just seeing how the respect that they had for my dad and just kind of the legacy that he left out there on the field. And then I obviously had a love for sports and for the game. And my parents, at first, they weren't too into letting me play football. I kind of had to beg and claw my way and then sneak my way onto a high school tryout and a roster from there. But you know how it goes, man. You know how it goes. But that's when I was probably first introduced to football at a very young age. And I'd always watched, gone to training camps, and I just loved being around sports in general. Every morning I remember going outside to the newspaper, and whether it was basketball, football, whatever it was, I would just go grab even the NHL, I'd grab the newspaper. I'd look at who's leading in receiving yards, who's leading in rushing yards, who's leading in touchdowns, basketball points per game, all those things to me, it was just something I was in love with. And it was something that I knew one day that I wanted to do. I didn't know what sport it was when I was young, but I just had to pick up everything and play a little bit of everything.
There we go. Of course, Dole Orange, of course, with football initially. I know you said, of course, in the interview one time that everyone used to be like, "Hey, man, you're gonna try to follow your dad in footsteps." You're like, "Nah, no, whatever." Man. I remember in the interview going through that, but brothers Daniel Liam, right? Liam playing basketball for the Ryerson and the Rams back in the day, of course, and Daniel doing this thing as well too. But just with your brothers and just growing up, myself growing up with three brothers, I know exactly how it is as well too. But growing up in general, was it very competitive? Was it one of those things like you did say? You started with basketball, you did basketball, you did volleyball, you did track and field, and then you got led into football. But was there a first love you had for the game of basketball, or was it always football from the start?
I loved Allen Iverson and Kobe Bryant. Those were probably my two biggest role models growing up. I loved the swagger that Allen Iverson carried into the game. And then when it was football, I loved Michael Vick. I loved Kobe Bryant for how hard he worked, and it was just something about every time you'd watch a Laker game, game would be close and you just see the Mamba take over. And it was you get that feeling in your chest, oh man, you just know Kobe, man. He just give you that feeling.
All time, yeah, of course.
And but competitive wise, growing up, it would be, you would have your practice at school or whatever it was, and we'd get home and I think it probably started in track and field and basketball for us in our house. We had a basketball court in our backyard. We were lucky enough and blessed to have that. And me and my younger brother, I mean, the amount of fights we had out there, the amount of time where it was like, hey, man, it's me and you one-on-one, and as we got older, we got bigger, and it just didn't stop. And it was just that competitive brother nature that I guess that we had. And then as we kind of got older, we moved into track and field. And I'll never forget, we'd have track practice. And then my dad would take us to the track by Father John Redmond. And me and my brother were so young, we didn't even realize what we were doing. And we were just kind of just punching each other. Well, my dad's taking the meter stick and he's clicking it for 150 meters. He's 200 meters. And then everything just kind of started making sense after that. Everything became very easy. And little did we know, like, all the work that we were putting in for something that we wanted and we wanted to achieve. And I'm very thankful to my father for everything that he's done for me, as a role model and as a person, because I definitely wouldn't be here today. And that goes for my brothers and my mom and everything too, especially trying to go from, at one point in my life, going from Canada to the NCAA, where not a lot of Canadians get an opportunity to go down there. And I don't think I would have had the opportunity without the support system and the people I had around me, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You even saying just your dad pretty much instilling those, not competitive in nature, but more so the kind of the training, like, hey, we're to go on and do the track field. We're going to do this. You don't realize that when you're young, but later on,
Yeah,
like, wow, that prepared you for this, like doing all the sports. And I understand that too from a young age. Never see,
yeah,
and the kids don't understand that as well too. Me as a, you come in, just to kind of start, you come in
yeah.
as a role model to my high school with my football team, and developing that, and just being there was huge for our guys. But we'll get into that a little bit more from there. But that's awesome to hear that, and the rapport you have with your brothers, so on and so forth. But another question I had now, going from Michael Power, St. Joseph, right, in high school, and then becoming a 3-letter athlete, do we know everything you've done, getting MVP honors, GTA All-Star team, so on and so forth. But with football, when did you know that you just like loved mossing mans? Like, when did you know you just like going and running around and just like catching the ball, doing, like, when
Oh
did
man.
you figure out, like, was it I don't know, JV, was a junior, grade 10? You're like, hey, I really enjoy playing this, and even doing the Etobicoke Eagles. I know you play Etobicoke Eagles as well, but when do you first know, like, hey, this is something that I think I'm definitely good at?
I had in grade 10, I think I broke my collarbone, and it was I was trying to play quarterback that year, but that's a different story.
Yeah, yeah.
And then as I progressed to grade 11, not playing for about a year, I kind of had a little bit stiff. Kind of had a couple, wasn't my best year, and then I took a firm, like, that off season. I really told myself, I said, you know what, if this is something that you want to do, if this is something that, like, you want to be good at, you got to put your heart and you got to put your everything into it. And I kind of really locked in going into my senior year, and I think I led the TDCAA in, like, sacks, tackles for loss as an outside linebacker, and then I had a couple touchdowns as a tight end, and then progressing from there to working with the GTA All Star team, and then they let me play receiver for the first time.
Oh, wow.
I got connected with Coach O'Neill, and he was such a big impact. Him and Coach Mundo. They kind of just looked at me and they were like, "Wait, they had you playing tight end and outside linebacker?" And then after a while, he looked at me and he said, Coach O'Neill challenged me. He said, I think you're a good player, but do you have that dog in you? And that kind of just got me going, you know what I mean? And that made it like that burning sensation I talked about from, like, role models, like looking at Kobe Bryant and everybody and Allen Iverson. And it was like, oh, you're asking me this? Like, I had nothing to say to him other than just
Let's go.
bet, like, watch this. And then I remember, like, even playing in that game, and just the quarterback threw me a bunch of go balls, and I remember going up on everybody and winning MVP. And that was probably when I said, okay, like, I can do anything that I want to on this football field. And that kind of gave me the confidence that I needed to take my game to the next level.
Mhm.
And after that, the rest was history, man.
That's awesome, because I remember actually going back watching the tape of you younger. I'm like, my goodness, it's just put him outside, put him with the X, do whatever it may be, and you just throw the ball up. But that's great. But just, you speak about the influence that Coach Mono, my colleague right now, had on you growing up, especially now in the GTA All Stars, then getting progressing to Canada prep, so on and so forth, like playing with better players, getting up, and you're seeing that you're competing with these DBs, you're still competing with these receivers, or you're getting better and better on one of the top rated players in all of Canada at that point in high school as well too. I did my research, of course, but I want just to know, like, what was the influence you have, that Coach Mundo, Coach O'Neill had on you at that time, and how does it resonate with you now, looking at?
Oh, it was always hard work. I remember I had to catch a bus coming all the way from Etobicoke Lakeshore
Oh,
all the
wow.
way down to Brampton, and, like,
Yeah,
trying to, you're 16 years old, 17 years old, you got to sacrifice, man. You got to make your mind up, and that was
absolutely.
something that I wanted. And
Mhm.
I figured a way out to get out there. And when I got out there, I connected with them. Just, I was a sponge when I got out there. I didn't really have anything to say back to them. I didn't question what they were telling me. I knew you played in the NCAA, you played in the NCAA, you played in the CFL. You know what I mean? And it was like, how do I not listen to y'all? Like, how do I, like, if that's where I want to go? Like, if I'm not listening to you guys, where you guys have been here before, I'm wrong, you know?
Mhm.
And that for me was it was so impactful. Just the things that they told me, they connected me with Canada Prep themselves and with Coach Jeff MacArthur. And then, me working with Coach Jeff MacArthur, he took me as a receiver and as a player, very raw. And he got me ready for the college game. I was actually there with another coach, Antonio Banks, who was a defensive back for the Minnesota Vikings, and he played a little bit of NFL, CFL himself too, and he was our strength coach. And what those two did for me, and that they toughened me up, they got me ready, and just Jeff is a successful receiver at Cal Berkeley himself. Just like the one-on-one training, one-on-one things that he was able to teach me, the film we were able to watch, I'd always pick his brain, and that kind of just gave me all the tools that I needed. And I was very blessed to be in contact with those people that put me in that position. And I'm forever grateful and forever thankful to them.
That's awesome. You can look back and especially at such a young age you have, like I still think you're a really young man, and just resonating and just speaking about the guys that really help you along the way. Cause you can never really get there by yourself. Like, you need to have
never. It's a village full of people. It is.
Absolutely, family, so on and so forth. That's amazing. But now going to committing to Nevada, but you had interest from Cal and Oregon State. Am I wrong? Of course, you had that going into it, but choosing Nevada Wolfpack, you said you committed there because of the relationship that you had with them, and it was more like a family kind of environment. Is that really what it was? And also,
I loved it there.
Yeah, definitely. And now from you going from a Toronto guy, like a Etobicoke guy, to the States, like the transition going from here to the States, like how did you fare at first? Was it something that kind of scared you, or do you think you were prepared to make that leap to go play in the States?
I think Canada Prep definitely got me ready to for the whole boarding aspect of being able to live on your own. Kind of understand that you don't get to go see your family every day. Like, my parents, it was we stayed in St. Catharines, and from being from Etobicoke, probably only about an hour away, hour and some change. But my parents and my dad, he said, look, you can't come home every weekend. He goes, when you go to college, you can't come home every weekend, when you get out there. So those were skills that I definitely was able to develop before I got to college, which definitely helped. But at the same time, nothing is going to prepare a young Canadian, going to live in America by himself at the end of the day. And those are things that, you kind of have to grow and you have to overcome. And it's a lot of growing pains that came with it. But, I was very, very happy that, I was able to overcome those growing pains, and I was able to mature, turn into the player that I was able to. Had a lot of success my sophomore year, and unfortunately, I had two pretty bad injuries my senior and my junior year. But the time that I had and the success that I had over there, I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. And I'm appreciative of every coach that I've ever met, and anyone who's ever helped me get there and work with me.
Absolutely. And I remember even seeing this on research, just you even saying like, "Hey, I was that freshman at Nevada that was probably a little bit late for some of the meetings to becoming that senior." That was, going to pick up one of the freshmen and make sure that they we're on their P's and Q's in general.
Yeah.
But just was that, I'm gonna say immaturity, but it was just getting used to everything. There's probably some tough days, and
there was a lot of
really tough days, right? So how you speak on that going from a first year player, obviously battling through the adversity too, of going through hamstring, collarbone, so on and so forth, but first year to senior, you really grew and you became that leader. And I see that now with the young kids, but just talk about that transition for you and how you grew throughout that span as well.
I definitely had to mature and grow up. You go from being the young guy in the room to having these seniors. And at the end of the day, as the younger guys came in, I became the older guy myself. I it kind of turned to the legacy that you want to leave as a player yourself. And I was really thankful to have such a great group of guys, Romeo Dubs, Cole Turner, Elijah Cooks, Deion Henley, all those guys play on Sundays now.
Yeah, they're there. Romeo Dubs.
At one point in time, the mistakes that I chose to make, and not just the mistakes, just the growing pains as a man, sometimes you want to pass that knowledge on to the next so that they don't step in those same puddles as you. And I was very happy, blessed to say that those guys, they listened, they learned from some of the things that I did, and they, they were better than me, and that's all it's about. You know what I mean?
No, I hear
you. And throughout the whole process of just growing, and I think that comes with everything. It takes time for you to mature, and sometimes you have to go through things to learn those lessons. And I'm happy that I did, because it's put me in the position that I am today, and it's made me the person I am today, and I'm thankful for it, and I wouldn't trade that for anything.
That's amazing. I know you even said that getting that call from Michael O'Shea when you got drafted, just bursting into tears about all the adversities, the ups and downs you had from the journey from Etobicoke, Nevada, so on and so forth, and now to Winnipeg, and you're doing your thing. But just some, because like no, some kids do listen to this podcast and they listen to many times before, and just imparting that knowledge. But one thing that you would give, like even just a word of advice that you would give to a great say a kid that's like you in grade 12 or grade 11, grade 10 that wants to achieve what you've achieved, what's one lesson or one word of knowledge you probably pass on to them from
No
your
matter
experience?
no matter what, like no matter how it looks, if you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel right now, stay the course. Because somebody will see the work you're putting in, whether it's 1 year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, stay the course. Like, and you'll be surprised at what comes out of it. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I could say. And I know we sometimes as humans we waver when we don't get what we want and everything, but just being able to stay the course and believing that there is a bigger picture at the end of the tunnel. And just talking to some of the guys, you may not be able to go to the NCAA school, but you end up at a CIS school, you end up a top pick in the CFL, and that's just staying the course. It's believing in yourself, and it's believing that no matter where I go, no matter what happens in this journey, I know that if I truly continue to develop myself and believe in myself, the sky is truly the limit. There's so many guys going to the NFL, going to the CFL from CIS universities, coming out of Canada, and it's like the opportunity is just going to continue to grow. And I'm proud to say that I was able to do that, and I'm proud that if anybody has any questions or anything, man, like I love to help and give back, man, because I was the guy that used to DM Tavon Smith, man, and blow his phone up like, "Hey, big bro, like,
Yeah.
how you get to Iowa?" I remember being at Michael Power, man, and like I remember looking at my mom and dad, and I said, "You guys aren't gonna have to pay for school. Don't worry about this. Like, I'm find out." Like, I used to walk myself to the track, because my dad was a little bit older at that point in time. I used to just do little things like that for myself, and it's like seeing the end goal, and just having a vision for yourself. It can really be powerful, and believing in yourself, man. That's the biggest thing too.
So
You got to believe in yourself.
absolutely, man. That's great. And I
I
usually ask
can't.
that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, I say I usually ask that at the end of the interview, but no, I wanted that because meeting you and seeing you with the kids and like even speaking to those guys, I'm like, that's what the kids need, man. They need to see the people that are actually doing it right now. And I love the fact that you did that in general. But now getting drafted to the CFL now, being in Winnipeg, great place to be with a successful program, successful coach, so on and so forth. But you're playing with Dembski, Waltowski, Brendan Schoen, all these guys you see on a regular basis. Like I think you have the best receiver group in the entire league. But like I think it's been like that for many years. But learning from Zach Calaros and your offense coordinator with everyone that you have there in general, I think Buck Pierce over and over. Do you learn every single day, and is it one of those things you're like, hey, I don't care if I'm a special teams receiver, like I'm going to do everything I can to get out there and try to help my team? Like how's your mentality going into that?
Um, I'm just blessed, man. I'm blessed to be around this group of people. I'm blessed to have the leadership that we have in the receiver room. I've been around like since playing with the Winnipeg. I've been around a lot of great players. I've been around Ellingson, Kenny, Dembski, like you said, Sean, Waltarski,
Yeah.
Rasheed Bailey, like Darvin Adams. Like the list goes on, man. Those are some great players that I've been
Dogs.
lucky enough to play with. Naaman Roosevelt, like
Yeah.
those guys were so impactful on me as a young player, and just they were never selfish. They always shared information, and we always make each other better in that receiver room. And like I said, you just have to be a sponge in whatever environment you come into, because like those guys, man, like they've done it before. They're 1,000-yard receivers, great players, great guys, and um, like it really helps. And we have a room full of selfless guys, man. We have a room full of guys that it doesn't matter, like whatever roles asked of us that week when we come in, we're willing to accept, and we're willing to attack it from the best of our behavior. And it's like me personally as a young guy in the room, understanding, every young guy wants to come in and play right away, especially because, you have your stories, you have your, okay, I want to get back to this point, or I want to go here, X, Y, and Z. But being in a room full of those guys, not only does it humble you to make you understand, okay, every single day I have to put my best foot forward to try and get better, but at the same time, it's just it allows you to it actually does allow you to put your best foot forward. And it's a beautiful thing. That's all I can say, man. It's just a beautiful thing, and I'm blessed.
That's awesome, man. And I know I wish you the best going forward from there for the rest of the year. But I want to ask you, just playing the receiver position. First of all, what is your favorite position? You like playing the slot, outside receiver, X, Y, whatever, X, Y. And what is your favorite route to run? Like when you're hosting a touchdown, I've seen a lot of deep balls from you and from some tape. Like all the way back in the day, ready, go. And just throw the ball up to you, but like, what is your favorite route to run? And like, when do you feel so accomplished after it's probably doing a cut in a skinny post? So you got to dig. Like, what is your favorite route to run, and which position you like playing the best?
Man, it doesn't matter what position. I feel like all 5 positions are my favorite on the receiving core. I feel like I'm versatile enough that I can play all 5 positions. If I had to pick one position where I would probably where I personally love the most, it's tough because I love them all probably equally as much. But I don't mind boundary too, man. It's kind of I like boundary too. And then I'd probably say favorite route, man. Since college, it's probably been deep post has always been my favorite one. That just that true center fielder. And it takes me back to my like baseball days when I was a kid. But other than that, yeah, I'd probably say deep post. And that's probably my favorite route.
I like that as well too, because sometimes the corners, they would throw it out, a little bit out to the sideline or even in a fade. Anyways, man, that's something again. But you run everything, all the tape, everything I've seen you from watching you run everything really, really well. But no, I know right here, I do see that you're an executive member of the Positive Leaders Among Youth, and just your goals overall. Even seeing you speak to the young kids as well. Do you have like you just going looking forward, because almost every athlete has to look forward to the future and of course planning, but do you have, I know right now you're so focused on the game, you're an incredible player, so on and so forth, but your impact with the youth, is there something you want to leave your mark with Toronto youth, or like what is your goal going forward when it comes to your impact on the youth?
My goal most definitely is to, like you said, I've started my own corporation called Positive Leaders Amongst Youth. And we're just looking to make an impact within the city of Toronto, within a lot of the youth, and not just the city of Toronto, Brampton, and just all of Canada, and like some of these areas that need positive role models and that need players like myself, and not just players, it could be former college athletes, it could be people that, have walked a certain path that some of these kids they can walk, man. And it's like it's okay to not, want to hang out after school with the guys, and it's okay to really want to invest in yourself from a young age, seeing the goal or seeing, a vision and having that. And it's okay to do that. It's okay to be the outlier, to be the different one. And I think sometimes it's cool to hear it from people like us who have gone and had the success, because it's proofs in the pudding, and it's like, you can shake it and bake it one way or another, but it's like at the end of the day, I feel like the kids and the youth today, they need that positive look. They need that leadership in their life. And I'm all here for it, man. And hopefully as we go, it only grows bigger as in the off season and everything. And we'll see where it goes.
Absolutely. You're on your way, man, for sure. And last thing I know I love this conversation, though. I can ask you so many more questions as we go. But in the last question I wanted to ask you is like your goals as a CFL athlete. Like, of course, everyone wants to win the Grey Cup, but do you have like, is it everything? You're a team player. But when you look back on your career, is there something you want to say, hey, I've done this right? Like, what exactly do you want to tell yourself when you're in your career, when it comes to whatever day that may be? But what's something you want to accomplish in this league right now, on a regular basis?
Oh man, definitely to always be, on a winning team and have a winning culture. Just to be a leader, just to be a leader and to develop into the player that I've always seen myself to be, and I've always envisioned myself to be, and just to continue to put my best foot forward every day and see where it ends up. I know I have my own personal goals. I don't know if I'm going to share those with you guys.
Yeah, no, I understand. I probably live with you too.
No worries at all, man. But I think we all have those personal goals and we all aim for it, and as we should. But at the end of the day, when it comes to being in that locker room and being a teammate, as I grow, as I do mature to become one of the like older guys in the room now, it's like, you want to bring that leadership in there. You want to bring the selflessness in there. You want to bring those examples in there for guys to, especially young guys when they come into the league, because once again, that was me before, and I think that's just as impactful to me. And you never know where the legacy lands after that, man. And let the play take care of itself. And then, as a person and as a teammate, you got to just try and work on that and put my best foot forward as that every day, man. And just have gratitude no matter the situation, man. That's the big thing too.
Absolutely, man. As you can see, your media trained. Your answers are perfect. But I
I
really
appreciate that.
hey, Brandon, really appreciate this, man. Really appreciate you imparting your knowledge to the youth and, of course, this audience that we have right here. Make sure that it's on all digital platforms as usual, as we do it here at TRUENORTH.BET and overall in general. But last thing I'll say, thank you so much. I'm going to share this, of course, and we'll follow you at __ no names affiliated __
Yes,
bless you for the rest of the year. Hopefully, stay healthy. All of that we'll be watching, man. Really appreciate you coming on this show and part of your lives, man.
man, thank you guys again for having me, man. It's been a pleasure. I wish you guys all the luck, man, in the world, man, and the success, man. And yeah.
Perfect. Hopefully have you back with our football team and really, really soon, man. So really appreciate it. All right, good luck the rest of the way. Thank you so much. And this is the TRUENORTH.BET podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Graham. Of course, the special guest, Brandon earlier in Ranch. Take care and keep balling.
Yes, sir. Take care.
You are now tuning into the True North Bet podcast with your host, Brandon Graham.